the left flank of the Democratic Party, on which I'm running, the progressive flank of the party is at an extinction level threat. The American Israel Public Affairs Committee is going to be throwing $100 million at 9 candidates. The 9 people who originally came out for a ceasefire in Gaza are now being attacked for their bold stances on human rights. We are at an extinction level threat in this country for progressive politics. 80% of Democrats want the ceasefire. Nearly 60% of Republicans want the ceasefire. 98% of Congress sent $14 billion more to Israel. Your politicians are bought and paid for before they even get to office. So one more time, I want to ask everybody an honest question. Whatever happened to a government for the people, by the people, of the people? Where are our young people running? The average age of the congressperson in this state is 68. Many of them have been in office for 30 or 40 years. Where are our ethical leaders in government? Where are our Asian Americans running in government? Where are Pakistani progressives? Don't let anybody ever tell you progressive politics are unpopular. When I launched my campaign, they said, Pervez, we don't want to talk about universal health care. We don't want to talk about campaign finance reform. We don't want to hear about Philistine and human rights. That's what they said to me 6 months ago when I launched my campaign. 6 months ago when I launched my campaign, we had $0. 6 months later, we have knocked 130,000 doors. 6 months later, we have made 500,000 phone calls. 6 months later, this campaign is running the largest progressive Asian American, Arab American, Hindu, Muslim, Indian, Pakistani voter engagement project in the country for Congress. Hey, good morning everybody. Thank you so much for carving the time out. Everybody, one quick round of applause for Raza and the PPF team, please. You could choose to be anywhere, but you choose to be with us today. From the bottom of my heart, that means a lot to me. And, you know, I kind of want to open up on a serious note, because I would be remiss if I didn't tell you what I thought the state of progressive politics in this country was. We are at an extinction level threat right now in this country. The left flank of the Democratic Party, on which I'm running, the progressive flank of the party is at an extinction level threat. What do I mean? Last week, we just learned AIPAC, the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, is going to be throwing $100 million at 9 candidates. Where is our ethical leadership in government? The 9 people who originally came out for a ceasefire in Gaza are now being attacked for their bold stances on human rights. We are at an extinction level threat in this country for progressive politics. And I'm sorry to be so serious, but, you know, I want to keep this brief and I want you to ask questions, but politics is not fun and games. There are lives at stake and we can see it with our very own eyes right now. It's not rainbows, it's not butterflies. The death toll in Gaza is now 12,000. And just last week, 80% of Democrats want the ceasefire. Nearly 60% of Republicans want the ceasefire. 98% of Congress sent $14 billion more to Israel. Can someone tell me why? Your politicians are bought and paid for before they even get to office. So one more time, I want to ask everybody an honest question. Whatever happened to a government for the people, by the people, of the people? Us progressives, never have we seen the lack of our political power so clearly apparent. So clearly apparent. And I'm sorry to come up here and talk about these issues, but as a new father with a 10-month-old boy, I am tired of watching the news and seeing what I'm seeing. 6,000 children in Gaza. I'm tired of it, and that's why our campaign is stepping up. And for those who don't know, many new faces, my name is Pervez Agwan, and we're running for U.S. Congress to represent this area here in Houston. Because, thank you. And I asked that question before, a new question. Where are our young progressive politicians? We have Brother Amar coming in from Pakistan. A round of applause for him, please. Where are our young people running? The average age of the congressperson in this state is 68. Many of them have been in office for 30 or 40 years. Where are our ethical leaders in government? Where are our Asian Americans running in government? Where are our Pakistani progressives? My answer to that is that we're here in Houston and we're not going anywhere, because I'm running in a new district. And this campaign has a serious chance to make history. Because history is not made unless us progressives group together, unless us South Asians, unless us Asian Americans group together and keep punching up on that glass ceiling that is holding us down. Because if we win and the momentum grows day by day, this campaign would make me not just the first Asian American elected to Congress from Texas. I'm 31. I would be the youngest member of the delegation. And people ask me, my mom, when I told my mom I was going into politics, she looks at my wife, she goes, "Koi zarurat nahi hai, log kya kahenge?" We work so hard in our life to get you to school in Boston. You should have become a doctor like the rest of your family. I'm like, "Mama kya hua?" And then she looks at me and she goes, "Asal mein chances kya hai?" So she, she was like, "What are your chances really though?" Well, we're running in a new district. There's a district map right there. Alex, do you have the flyers? If you don't mind passing a few out. We're running in a district that has the largest Asian American, Indian, Pakistani, Hindu, Muslim, Arab population in the state of Texas, packed into one district. This district has more Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren voters than Joe Biden voters. We only need 25,000 votes to win. There's almost 40,000 positive Bernie and Warren IDs. It's progressive. There are almost 200,000 Asians and Arabs in the district. Don't let anybody ever tell you progressive politics are unpopular. When I launched my campaign, they said, "Pervez, we don't want to talk about universal health care. We don't want to talk about campaign finance reform. We don't want to hear about Philistine and human rights." That's what they said to me 6 months ago when I launched my campaign. 6 months ago when I launched my campaign, we had $0. 6 months later, we have knocked 130,000 doors. 6 months later, we have made 500,000 phone calls. 6 months later, this campaign is running the largest progressive Asian American, Arab American, Hindu, Muslim, Indian, Pakistani voter engagement project in the country for Congress. Wow. So don't let anybody ever tell you that we can't get this done on a progressive platform. This platform is not just necessary, it's popular, and we're all going to go fight for it. Good. So people ask me why we're doing this, and I want to keep this brief, and I do want to keep it light. Thank you for joining. Justice. There is very little justice and integrity in a system in this country. In this country, where our tax dollars, by the billions, continue to go to wars abroad when we can't even fund healthcare in Sharpstown and Gulfton where we sit. There's very little justice and integrity in a system where Aetna, Cigna, United Health Group are making billions of dollars, but we are currently in the most uninsured zip code in my district. Medical bankruptcy is the #1 cause of bankruptcy in this country. Every other G20 country has universal health care. It doesn't make me a radical, and it doesn't make us wrong as progressives. We should be proud to believe that in the richest country on earth, no one should go bankrupt if they get sick. In the richest country on earth, no one should be sleeping on the streets. So when people ask me what we're fighting for, we're fighting to deliver justice back into a system where our politicians are bought and paid for by every big lobbying group before they even get to office. And we need to change that. And our campaign wants to serve as an example. So I'm going to ask, I'm going to open it up for a few questions, but I want to tell you where we're at now. This campaign is different. And if politics is going to change in this country, we need to run this type of campaign. Because we don't take a cent of corporate PAC money, not a dime of lobbyist dollars, not even a penny of any money that corrupts your politician. And I'm proud of that. This is a grassroots campaign. That means no Wall Street, no pharma companies, no big insurance companies, no oil and gas companies, no AIPAC, no defense companies. And if politics is going to change in this country, I cannot do it alone. It takes all of us. For one of us to win on the progressive platform, it takes all of us. So first, I just want to say to all of you, You know, my father always used to say to me, you know, beta, zindagi mein thodi si himmat honi chahiye. He always, you know, before he passed, he said, beta, make sure when you do something with your life, only do something that benefits others. He said that to me in Gujarati. You know, zindagi mein evu kaam karke koi bhi janu bhalu thai. Right? And that stuck with me because moral courage is a rare commodity. Moral courage is a rare commodity in this day and age. And it takes moral courage to fight back against a system that yields ever so painfully to change. So I want to applaud all of you for having the moral courage to attend a progressive forum because there is strength in numbers. So round of applause, everybody, for yourselves. So I'm going to keep this brief. I'll wrap it up in the next 2 minutes. But what we stand for is simple. What we stand for is simple. Houston, Texas. Who was here 20 years ago, by the way? Was it this hot 20 years ago? This was the hottest summer in recorded history on Earth and in Houston, right? Climate change is a very real phenomenon. If we aren't serious about accepting, anthropogenic, induced climate change, this is real. Houston, the city known of oil and gas, maybe we can be a little something more. Right, our campaign's launching a new initiative to bring 100,000 new clean energy jobs to the city. $6 across both of our borders. I think it's time we start fighting back against the big pharmaceutical companies for what they're doing. In the richest country on earth, I shouldn't be driving on 527 and seeing homeless encampments. In the richest country on earth, we should be focusing on providing education and building parks in lower income neighborhoods like this, instead of spending $200 billion every year on new weapons manufacturing. We have $1 trillion defense budget, greater than the next 9 countries combined. If this country is going to change, we got to cut that defense budget. So our platform is simple. Alex is going to hand out some flyers to everybody here. He'll hand them out at your tables. On the back is what we stand for. But we only have 12 weeks left. To everybody on Zoom, to everybody that's here, don't let anybody ever tell you progressive politics don't win, because we're showing people right now in the field. We've been out there 9 months. 9 months in the heat. We've knocked 130,000 doors. The best way to win a voter is you knock on their door. The second best way is, if Sohail Bhai hasn't voted, Raza Bhai, I tell you to tell him to go vote. Right? And we can see it. We have a system now. I call it a lie detector test. We can see who in our network still hasn't voted every day of voting. So my ask of everybody in this room is 3-pronged. Dr. Zia just hosted us in St. Louis. Dr. Yusuf hosted us at his home in D.C. Dr. Amir, Dr. Heather, everybody's been helping us out. For one of us to win, it takes all of us, right? It's not easy to do this work. Let me tell you about my opponent. I'm running in a new district. This district is the largest Asian American population of any district in Texas. It's an Asian American opportunity seat. My opponent no longer lives in the district, and it's a safe Democratic seat. Whoever wins this primary takes this race and goes to D.C. This is one of 38 congressional seats in Texas. My opponent, the week I launched my campaign, accepted the American-Israel Public Affairs Committee endorsement. She needs that money to beat us in this diverse district. This district believes in universal health care. This district believes in ending wealth inequality. It believes in billionaire taxes. It believes in climate action. It believes in gun control. This district believes in ending government corruption and getting money out of politics. So we need to start running campaigns on those platforms. So in order for us to win, we have to knock another 100,000 doors. If you're in Houston, please sign up and volunteer on our campaign. If you're not in Houston, consider hosting us. For us to win, we need a whole lot of capital because we're up against a machine. Take your pick, because I stand for renewable energy, the oil and gas lobby's after me. Because I stand for universal health care, the health insurance lobby's after me. Because I stand for gun control, the gun lobby's after us. And obviously AIPAC's after us, so we're doing something right. So if these things don't end in a vacuum, it really takes a community. I'm honored that you choose me to do this work, especially my friends from here in Houston. But right now, we're on the precipice of making a statement for the progressive movement. Because not only are we neck and neck with my opponent, we just had a silent poll run that shows us ahead. Can you believe that? And we're not sharing that with anybody. We're not going to post it publicly, because the problem in politics right now is if anybody from the outside lobby group sees us ahead, what do? They pour in attack ads. So my ask of everyone here is help us keep the operation going. Help us keep the operation. So if you can host us, host us. And who lives in Houston here? Before you go, we have this really cool tool. We're the first to launch it, and I want every progressive campaign to run it now. AOC used it in New York. Bernie Sanders used it in Iowa. It can tell you which of your friends in your phone are registered voters in the district and haven't voted every day of early voting. Yeah, we have 500 people on it. You know, my mom, we had a very Gujarati wedding. She invited 1,000 people to my wedding. I didn't know half the Kalus and Mamus there. I'm like, Mama, ye kaun hai? She's like, don't worry, that's your Mamu, you know, from Sugarland. I'm like, okay, no problem. Bring them all again, you know. Invite everybody again. And this time they bring their cousins and they go vote, right? Because everybody's in Sugarland. And then my third ask of everyone here, right? Ask questions. I want you to know that young South Asians, young Muslim Americans, young progressives, we can run, we can win, we're not going anywhere. Because when I launched my campaign, you know, they said a lot of mean things. They sent me hate mail. They said, go back home. They said that on the internet. You should read my Facebook comments and my Twitter. Go back home, Agwan. You know, my name is Muhammad Pervez. Go back home. I was born here. My son was born here. My wife was born here. Many of you were born here. This is our home. And we're not going anywhere. And because I love my home, I have every right to criticize it. So please help us win this race. Please ask questions. And before you go, I would be remiss if I didn't ask. We go through almost, who has a piece of that literature? Could you hold one up? We go through almost $10,000 of this in mail a week. We send almost $10,000 of text messages a week. Our campaign has raised $1 million, but we've spent $1 million. For those in the room that have the resources, for one progressive, for one South Asian, for one young South Asian kid to win a seat for Congress, it takes a community to put them up. So please generously donate before you go. There are QR codes around the room. You can scan the code as well. So please, I'll take some questions if that's okay, Raza Bhai.
I think South Asian community, Muslim community, whatever hat we want to wear, we have an opportunity in this young individual. So please, I met him a few months back in Dallas, and I was in love with him. You know.
Well, my goal, and I'll take your question as well. My goal is, I never thought I would do this work. Mirajal Bhute, he came to this country with $5 in his pocket. He drove a cab. You know, only in this country, you know, is the promise of America. I still believe in it. Can the son of a cab driver from Gulfton and Sharpstown and Sugarland end up running for Congress as Muhammad Pervez, but even have a chance of winning? So I hope that this campaign can inspire some of our other progressive youth to not just run, but see, hey, if Pervez can do it, I can do it.